Hey, you guys, it's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? So, I want to take us back to basics today. As we do, we sometimes we're perpetually on this sort of roller coaster ride of life, ebbing and flowing in and out of different experiences that feel different. Some are up, some are down. Some are big, some are small, and it's all unique to every single one of us, the experience that we're experiencing. And based on the intensity of the paradigm shift. So, Also Love TV, this channel, my personal path has a lot to do with being guided intuitively, and I would say divinely, because it has to do with the end of suffering. And ultimately, it was an insight I had way back at the University of British Columbia whilst um, doing a Canadian scholar program, learning about the ways of the world and saying, well, certainly there needs to be a paradigm shift on Earth. If we are to correct our ways, if we are to absolve poverty and suffering the extent we are perpetuating it on this planet. And back then in 2001, my entire peer group at university sort of laughed at me and giggled at me like I was talking shit. And now, almost 20 years later, it would appear that this paradigm shift is still very much underway. And it's talked about more, and it's a reality on Earth because of the state of affairs, because of the state of our planet, because of consumption patterns, because of the increasing awareness around our corrupted states, i.e., the old perception of separation perpetuating war cycle is an illusion of control of beings of darkness that operate in this way. And there are more and more beings here on this planet that don't operate from a place of destruction, stealing, and combustion. That's a separation consciousness. That's a aspect of darkness, of siphoning energy rather than creation force energy. So it's like, um, it's almost like the devil versus God. So like action, betrayal, manipulation versus light, love, forgiveness, right? It's these aspects of glory and salvation and emancipation versus other enslavement, darkness, fear, control, and nation, right? Hey, guys. So I know that there's a lot of people in the go or light worker community that are bottoming out on their level. So they might be facing, and I am in my own reality, in my own way as well, facing total financial loss, breakups, deeper darknesses than they ever remember. And I actually talk about this book. We start this transformational journey. We can often get to like 3 months or 6 months or whatever and be like, "Ugh, it's not working. Like, fuck this shit. Brutal. It's not like not a powerful creator. Bleh. I'm gonna just go back to my old job, whatever." And then it starts to feel relentless and um, it's super fun. But ultimately, we have sort of, you could say, generations of and aeons and ages of karmic energy clearing, density, I call it. I just like to refer it as density. Density feels less, the other feels good, lightness feels good, expansion feels good, love feels good, unity feels good, and not love with condition, but just fucking love, just love whatever is. And I yes, Alja. Um, so it's funny to me, right? Because I when I was younger, I danced most of my life, and specifically was in like a professional dance company. So like we trained a lot, and hey Scott, whoop whoop, we trained a lot, and I can remember, when as a company we were maturing dancers. Most of us went from 12 to 19 in this specific dance company. And then you'd get into your senior years. And there would have been a time when a bunch of us were taking quite like advanced examinations in ballet or modern or contemporary dance. And our dance teacher was always like, you should be sweating after your first round of plie, as in the mental basics of ballet are all that you need to be a good dancer or to be self-aware or to have a good core. Um, what am I trying to say here? Basically, like there are these basics, there are these essence basics of manifestation of virtuosity or being, in love with life. And in the book, in my own book, that is, the first step after unplug and teaching y'all about the foundational pillars of the emotional body, i.e., you have emotions and denying them doesn't help. So you might as well allow yourself to flip between the polarity of your emotional, which is the energy that you are, which is really your entire body and your mind and everything. Um, well, actually, the mind is that which is watching everything, and then beyond is the connection to the infinity self, the totality, the God, that all that is. And then ultimately, the mind is like watching these emotions, these energies that are you in essence, and everything is connected. So every aspect of our entire experience is assisting us in this ascension, in this awakening, in this transformation, i.e., so that we can all like live free and be the beautiful beings that we're meant to be, the generous of spirit, the kind, the compassionate. My God, the world really could work so well if more beings were operating from this. Hence why the paradigm shift occurring on this planet, because ultimately in our survival state, we're recognizing this evolution has to happen. So just like a dancer would know that doing just basic plies should be enough to warm them up, that they should be able to really like activate everything, all the muscles. Um, as in, you don't need to do all these fancy postures to warm. Now then, in our lovely spiritual communities, I find what happens is that we just start talking about a bunch of stuff that, for me personally, I don't particularly resonate with, and or it doesn't resonate with my path at this moment. It doesn't resonate with like where I feel majority of humanity, um, where the majority of humanity are headed, if that makes so. Like, um, thank you. Um, so right, right. So like in these conversations, we can talk about other dimensions, and we can talk about twin flame, and talk about uh love and light and the ended masters, and we can talk about being the system, which is actually in my book, but it's not quite like that. Because I actually have a point. Let's stop fighting it and just focus on how to feel better. Just feel better. It's that fucking simple. Some things feel better, some things it feels less. And yet it, part of my growth or expansion or what have you was that for me there was a collective of our humanity that was like miserable, full. And trying to fit into that was just increasingly destructive and painful. And so to me it was like finding now, and this was the thing of like not knowing it, but at the time being fairly progressive or advanced. Like when I was getting into yoga, people, even though it was normal to me, there were still people in the UK or in Liverpool, wherever I was living at the time, who was like, "Isn't yoga a cult?" Thinking yoga is some cult or what have you. And there's still people that all of this creatorship stuff, all of this law of attraction and stuff. That's been what I'm seeing in people rebounding back into Christianity or born again Christianity, is that manifestation stuff is so deep and so profound, and the language can be so confusing or destabilizing on an egoic level that we often rebound back into the safety of um, organized religion, the safety of dogma, because that's we have a community of people where we can all talk about this stuff and pretend like we're all getting along. Except what I often observe in communities is there's the back talk, the behind the scenes, the this stuff going on where we're just like, is that it? Hmm. Hi, Susanna. It is 6:30 here, but I'm in Canada, friend. I'm I had to look at all my fancy schmancy stuff, all my schmancy stuff. Um, I got some stuff, some lovely things, and I got my nails done for a wedding. Sovereignty lacks searches for authority. Sovereign Sovereignty lacks searches for authority. Right, right. So that's a fair point. And that's also to me part of holding space for all this shifty stuff is that like, people are frightened, insecure, um, looking for answers. And it's so frustrating sometimes, right? Because the truth is that the answers are like the most relevant answers for your journey are inside you. They're all coming through you, or they're coming to you via the channels and or the holograms that you're perceiving, right? Like we're all, and this is like what's such a head fuck. Like every single one of us is completely having our unique experience. So you could say that there are just billions upon billions upon billions of worlds, of earths, of experiential perceptions of this belt of the fucking universe, but then we're all a universe. Have you ever seen that NASA, those more recent photographs that NASA or one of those companies exposed, which was like, well, once we expanded past this universe, we just started to realize it was just another universe after another universe after another universe and after another universe. So what you see is that the pictures are just the black void with stars, and then it's the black void with galaxies, and then it's the black void with universe. And then I was like, it is our own beingness. Each of those little galactic portals, each of those little star systems, each of those little we are. That is like we are the universe embodied, having this little like, I'm a human. I'm having a warm experience now before I like return to the void, return to wherever we might be going. But most of us, I think, in this awareness are aware that like where we go is just purity. Where we go is just like expanse. It's not, and we can often wash ourselves clean and go to these realms of lightness. We can go to realms of plasticine. We can go into like realms of cartoon land, into like infinite realities, right? You got it. Expose them. They don't know what's over there. Yes, yes, yes. You got it. Okay. Impression. Amazing. I don't know. I do go into that, like you're talking about an impression. I don't know. Oh, but that's I do like Liverpool accent sometimes. I do like various accents, don't I? I don't know what they are. Canadian. I like this expression though. Canadian Connery. Hmm. Like Sean Connery, like the Scottish guy. Um. Okay, so the point of this share was basically like we talk about blah blah blah, the controller, the 5G, the like love light, the ascended masters, the angels, the Pleiades. We can go on and on about all the stuff like that's out there. But then I'm always like, but then hi, I'm pretty sure I'm in this story of this planet, this one Earth story, and that there's like 7 billion humans here, Earthlings, not all of which I think are origins, like, as in, I don't believe that all of the beings that are existing here at this present moment are actually like, this is their native home. I feel like a lot of us are from different um, portals, different star systems, different universes, perhaps. And, um, and on this planet, those of you tuning into this channel, we are now collectively telling a story of a mass evolution, of a quantum leap in our human consciousness so that we don't destroy ourselves. It's pretty much that simple. Because the story that we're telling is like, we're all fucked up, stupid retards, and we don't know how to get along, and we ultimately fucking hate each other. And this earth is limited, so we better fucking rape and pillage and steal as much as we can to feel really important And actually, this all the actions that we're doing are out of our own not feeling important, not feeling in love, hence being used, by what we all agree to call like the control and domination system. In my awareness, though, that's the that's the darkness that we've disowned in our pursuit of material wealth and material glory, right? Ooh, thank you. Such a lazy narrative. Interesting, right? So I say it's like the awakening is us being here now. Comes back to like the present state, right? It's now. Right now, as much as it's might be nice to talk about different lovely angelic things in the here and now, to me, I'm still aware that there's masses and masses of energy that are impoverished, enslaved, and struggling to even get the basic needs. And to me, the conversation is addressing our like as in our entitled white privilege, and I don't need to create this sect of the races necessarily, but I mean, for the most part, it's been the white races who have cru- gone on crusades to control and dominate this planet. And so it's the white races I feel who have the most like redemptive, like, we need to ask for forgiveness. We need, as a race, as a people, we need to be like our people, like from generations gone. And not just, I'm not being like hard on myself about this. I'm saying that as races on this planet, there's gonna have to be a like, can we forgive one another for our past grievances? Can we own the fact that my ancestors, yes, might have enslaved people in different countries and brought them over to like make my food for me and clean my tables, and that generational history is part of why we have this sickness of entitled privilege, and all these kind of people going, "How dare you? How dare you claim Black Lives Matter?" Like, "Fuck, bitch," or people kicking up against the Me Too movement. "How dare you pretend like you got raped one time? Like, fuck you, bitch." It's this constant backlash at the fact that what's happening in the paradigm shift is that all of our pain is coming out and we have to just own it. I'm not and this is what we're having a hard time doing, is that this stuff is coming out and people are just going, "Oh, no, 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 I don't wanna have to forgive myself. I don't wanna have to look at that. I don't wanna have to unite my heart with all the races of this planet." That's what it is, holding on to grievance and justifying our shitty behavior, whether it was ours or our ancestors, who fucking cares? We've all done harm to one another. We've all been in action doing harm on this planet. So we might as well all just forgive ourselves, put our hands up, and do our best to keep being, like, keep just fucking breaking down and being. That's pretty much all that happens for me, is that I'll just let myself break down and clear and cry and cry and cry until until those tears pass. And I don't hold on. I don't blame other people for how I feel, but I also recognize that I'm allowed to just be myself and in truth, and then I'm also allowed to just stand in my power and walk away if privileged, intelligent people perpetuate their victimhood, right? Oh, thanks, guys. I mega appreciation for you guys. One of you messaged me recently, and it wasn't even anything like, I'm sure you were just sharing like some random story, and I, within a couple seconds of starting to hear your share, I'm just starting to bawl my eyes out. And then I shared whilst I was like crying, being like, "Oh my god, this is so beautiful. I'm having this release." And then you share, be like, "I'm having a release." And way to make fun of our emotionality, but like it's true. You're just like and then it was like, yeah, like I you guys express that, and I'm like, I'm so grateful for this community. Because in fairness, I'm so kind of just eccentric loner weirdo chica, doing my own little thing, and I'm not at all a victim. Me too, the blame game, right? And then like when people aren't in their heart, this is where it starts to get more and more like convoluted. Is like People like this is weird, right? But like what I notice increasingly now is like um it's like um people are plotting. I never noticed this before, but like I can notice it as I recycle around these different yeah, like projected awarenesses that I have, and like oh my god, I just can't get over how much more like honed the empathic ability is becoming, and that there's no judgment, like there's no attachment to the fact that I'm observing, but the more clear we become as channels, the more we can like literally observe like people's um like just what's going on. And the fact that people think that just because they're not saying it out loud, or they think that because like or they think that because they're talking behind people's back that it's not felt. And that I think is the power of the as we rise and unite. It and because this is why my gratitude is so fucking genuine for you guys, is that you're helping me in the same, right? It's one and the same. We're holding space for one another's evolution. There's no like, hi, I'm MJ. I'm the ruler of the world because it's my fucking YouTube channel. No, it's just like, hey guys, is there anyone else that's like wondering and having these weird fucking thoughts, but also like, yeah. It is one, isn't it? Oh, Scott, right? Like so much purging, crying, superpower, very necessary. It is crying endlessly for the soul of us all. Like that's kind of, ugh, ugh, that's kind of what it is. Like as early as I can remember, when I recognized the pain in the world, like something in me was like, I have to feel it. I have to feel it. I have to be one with that pain. I have to know what that pain is, so that I can understand it. I can feel into it and figure out where the pain is coming from. And or there's that's a discernment, isn't it? So there's a difference between like pain and just like polarity. I want to just use the expression polarity. We all have polarity, and that I believe is part of existence in form, in contrast. Otherwise, what would we fucking be creating? It would just be balls of light all the time. Spectrum polarity is part of the thrill of existence. And this isn't new information. You will have come across this. It's like so we can accept. So what we want to do here is like accept that pain, or like maybe there's a better word, like outworking. Mm, ooh, yeah, like think of undoing a knot, right? So like the outworking pain, as far as like the outworking of certain energetic knots in our reality, that is part of the thrill of existence, right? Versus the perpetuation of suffering via mass domination and control and enslavement. So like mass domination via like trauma, disempowered disconnection, and then propaganda, media programming. This is how you're going to be. This is how you're going to act. This is how you're supposed to act. And you're going to step in line. Boom. So, like that mass media propaganda is part of the perpetuation of suffering, which is then the perpetuation of suffering is part of what holds the system in place. All these beings walking around pretending like they don't have no power over this big, bad, scary system. When in moderness, you are the system. We are that. We created it. We're all responsible for it, right? That knot softens as you work it out. Totally. And here, we all know this, right? Like when anything is knotted, a necklace, like a really fine necklace like this, if it gets knotted, me just going like trying to rip it apart, that's not going to help. Like any of us, I don't know if you guys like this, but I'm quite like I love undoing knots randomly. Think about that. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? And I always have since I was a kid. When you have your jewelry boxes and all the necklaces would get all like muddled, I'd always be like, ooh, 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 I want it. Like, give it to me. Right. It's something about the way our mind works as well, is that I want to like sit there and like work it out. And so, yeah, you can't just do, if it's super tangled, you can't just like rip it apart. you have to like sit with it and kind of noodle with it. Like in truth, you have to kind of like maybe kind of gently rub pieces together and then look at like how you can unloop one and then pull another one and then pull another one, right? Oh my god, how funny, but not funny. I'm like, that actually makes perfect sense to me that we all have this random, like we all enjoy it. Okay, okay, Susanna, Amanda, Spirit Wind. Mm. However, okay, okay, I agree with you. No, we didn't create it. Okay. Okay. However, you're right. And we participate. Mm, okay, and this is where again we're going into stuff I don't necessarily talk about a lot, but this is about the soul contracts. This is something called the Archon grid and the Demiurge. This is where we get into spiritual warfare and what's going on in the ethereal realms and or the spiritual realms, you could say. And in our universe, there's always going to be polarity of beings living in the light and the dark. And the beings living from the dark are beings who invest in creating these deception systems. And that's again, that's an aspect of creation. Kudos, clever, aren't you clever? But there are also beings I personally feel that are more powerful than that grid, that kind of aspect of emerge, and that those beings can actually shine out the darkness. So in my beingness, I can feel, sense, and see what the system is as far as a kind of dark overlay on the Earth's divine blueprint. And many of us kind of tuning in are watching aspects of that grid be dislodged. It's moving. We're getting rid of it from having a stronghold on the planet, right? Yeah, of course. That's the part of some of us responding to the Earth call, is that we've responded to the Earth call because we're here. We've been battling these dark forces since forever. That's again part of our um, uh, it's just, again, part of existence. Some of us might have memories of galactic wars and fighting in Orion's war and all this kind of stuff, right? Except here we are back on Earth, and it's like this similar forces that we're here to be like, devil, get thee behind me, or like, you have no place here. I can feel it. I can see it. I see it in imagination and in meditation quite a lot, as far as like we're standing in our light force, these pillars of light, like the pillar of light is being anchored here, like boom, 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 massively, right? Yeah, Susanna, right? And so, and I that this is just through encounters and meetings that I've had a remembrance and been fortunate enough to have meditations where I reclaim aspects of self from those spaceships or from those war cycles on a galactic level. I know. That's why I resonate with things like Lord of the Rings and like Star Wars and stuff like that. We're very much in that energy now of like fighting. Fighting isn't the right word. Embracing light, embracing the Jedi, like embrace God force that we all are, because the darkness is real. The struggle is real. That we're all facing this fucking brutal struggle, and nobody wants to kind of deal with the emotional backlog that we're carrying. And I see it in how we show up in the world, right? um just adventure for uniting goodness, yeah, right. Constant form for the knowledge of why, yes, that is soul contracts. And this contracts, oh right, okay, cool. So other people talk about this. So the soul contract, and again, I've talked about this on the physical plane, i.e. 3D reality, and but it's more 4D now. What did you just say? Oh yeah, contracts. But that's where we can do spiritual ceremony and invoke the forces to actually retract and dissolve those contracts, because it's like that kind of fine print bullshit. It's too covert, it's cunning, it's deceptive. So the more you invoke the power of your light, the more you can just shine down that bullshit. Pardon me, shine down the corruption corruption and criminality of the banking system, shine down the corruption and criminality of our political systems, shine down. And it doesn't mean you have to go to do anything. It just inside of you, don't engage in that conversation anymore. Pretending like, oh, well, the government, oh, the banking system, fuck them. Just stand in your power, in your truth. And this is, oh, oh yeah. And then what was the share even about? I don't know. Oh yeah, it was back to basics, right? Oh, thanks. I'm sure I will. Um, oh yeah. So then somehow that's brought me back to the topic of the share joy, gratitude, and love. Is that we can all be all like blah 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 blah. I know, and we all are. um, duh, 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 duh. So yeah, so here we are, and we have all these crazy shit storms going on, and we're all like, "Ah," like, trying to figure it out, but not really knowing, and a little insecure and confused. And some of us are poor, not knowing, and like all these crazy shitty energies are coming through us. And then what came through this morning was like, remember again, like the ballet story of remembering, like, all you need to do is the basics. So this morning, after all the craziness, I was just like, what? Just go back to basics. Joy, gratitude, and love. Like, even when I'm in the shits, even when I'm like, life is sucky, even whatever, can I just be fucking grateful for my existence? Yeah, I can. So can you. So can any of us. I know but this is where we can see the polarity of the human condition being addicted to their fucking pain, addicted to their suffering, means of control and domination, as a means of manipulation, right? Can I practice gratitude? Well, no, that's just easier for some people. Or well, no, because they're like, well, like I'm in the shit. It's because so isn't making life happy. And you're like, wow, people will hold on for dear life to a painful story. When I'm in the brutal shits of pain inside myself, I can still be like, you know what? This is freaking cool. Look at me. And I'm so thankful I have the awareness to just let myself clear out like that. Like, I'm not ashamed of sitting in this corner for 2 hours and just bawling my eyes out. Gee, big to the bankers and corrupt who claim that's right. That's right. It's like out vibrashe across the niche. you know, How compelled to say, "Oh, thank you for another day," as I climbed into bed. There's a collective win for all of us. Thank you, Andrea. Honestly. So yeah, that's a huge, huge leap to go, you know what? Today was a kind of shit day, but I'm still fucking grateful to be here. Or you know what? I ain't got nothing, nothing live and I'm breathing. Or you know, people around me really fucking piss me off, but that's okay. I'm alive. Like, as in, I'm grateful. I'm great that we're alive, that we're all here. Grateful that I have the discernment to choose. Grateful that, like, and then suddenly you say a few things like that. Like, I'm just fucking grateful for the fact that my lung breathe for me, my heart beats for me. It feels a little bit better. And then you're like, well, yeah, actually, like, okay, and so what if I don't have all the answers? And so what if I don't have it all figured out? And who fucking cares? Because nobody actually does. And everybody's just pretending. And for those of us that can just wander around and be like, oh my God, like, this planet, oh, is so fucking beautiful. Like, when you can just vibrate the presence and purity of true, genuine appreciation, gratitude for life, love for life, joy. Like, that is divinity, that is perfection, that is the awakening ultimately, is the unity aspect with the glory of God, the glory of existence itself, the glory of the light-filled expression is that which we see, right? Yes. I just looked down at Andrea's comment. Yes, he is. So yeah, back to basics, yo. And I say this for my all these shares are for me as much as they are for you, you know? Back to basics that I can whether I'm feeling up and all in my trunk junk and feeling great, that's great. But we all know that it's more of a challenge when the shits come up again, when our old shitty patterns come up again, when our when people trigger us, you know? And this is where the letting go stuff is just an inner shift. It's going, can see letting it go. I'm not playing those games anymore. Why? Because I don't want to. And it doesn't fucking matter if people understand you. This is another sort of monumental thing in doing all of this inner work. We don't need to sit around explaining ourselves to people who don't give a shit and or people who don't necessarily want to do the work to make changes in their lives. Just accept that people are going to do what they're going to do and that all people are divine reflections of the self to help us clear stuff out and that what other people do 100% completely their own divinity, not some shitty human behavior, that every single aspect of self around you, that people's choices are their own divine choices because they're on a divine path. But it's up to us to continue it to our divine path so that we can empower more people to stay committed to their divine path, right? In my awareness, though, we're just so already in it and on it that there's no going back, that I'm just like, let's just keep going because again, it's in the book, but I'm like, everyone can just follow behind our little light trails. You know, like we don't want to sit around being like, come on, guys, wake up, wake up. We'll just naturally wake up through the for the emanation of vibration of awakening, right? Myself, yeah, right. It's so beautiful. I know. Thanks. I love your energy. I love all of your guys' energy, truly. Mm. Hmm. Enough. I like the language. Enough. Full, full. And yeah, I would say the gratefulness is like, and that's what I never understood was like the sort of virtuousness, like even as a young person, the virtuousness of like non-materiality, and in my depth, knowing that that was like a true thing, that I knew that like being attached to stuff was probably tr- truth, and yet I was people were so weirded out by me, like they were so weirded out by the fact that I didn't want to shop necessarily, or that I don't know, like, but I guess that's part of my perspective. That's part of why I am. I notice things that people and I didn't naturally do. I wasn't inclined to like acquire lots of material possession. It wasn't like well, again, because I had the awakenings, I could see that the system was just leaving people to buy more stuff, and I was like, why does everybody need all this stuff that we have? But he would have enough for ages, and then we could completely reframe industry to make it like eco and sustainable, and essentially get rid of an economy of enslavement where money rules over the consciousness of humanity and materiality and propaganda rules over the consciousness of humanity, right? So it's like, mm, you know, it's coming to 20 years of this awareness. And so and I know not alone. And so there's more and more people on the planet just like waiting for certain trigger points to happen in the active energy field. It's part of our own ability to hold space, right? Think that's what resonates for many of on a D-wing. It's like all this inner shifting stuff is preparing us just to face for the bigger collective shift, right? Just stuff we be over and over and ugh, God, tell me, Wally World Walmarts. Ugh, I know. No, we don't have Walmart, but equivalents. So, um, so, and let's be honest, that is is so like the Walmart, I would say, is just like the figurehead of corporate greed and systematic enslavement domination stuff. Mm. So we might not have the Walmart, have in England Primark. Primark, again, super duper cheap. It's on every fucking high street in every town. And all the worker, everybody wants to go to fucking Walmart because you can get a t-shirt or whatever for like $2. The thing is, this is the thing, is that now the high street stores are cheaper than charity shops. And we have our oceans filling up with the microplastic from the laundry that we're doing and the cheap clothes that we're producing. And then ugh, and this is the thing about the mass consumerist pavement belt, is that everybody's shopping all the time, but nobody has any fucking respect for what they buy. I.e., like, oh yeah, I'm into shop. Just want a new outfit for this weekend, and then people just chuck away their clothes, or I'll speak abundantly for the female race, or you just have closets filled with stuff. I see closets and they're rammed full of stuff that I'm like, do you ever wear any of it? Just stuff. But then they keep shopping. They keep piling up the stuff in their closets, stuff, and then eventually they do a big clear out. And what? Oh, God, we send all of our charity shops to the poor people. And oh, you mean the poor people who make our fucking clothes? Clever system, isn't it? So we enslave people to make us our cheap things, and then we give them back for charity. Mhm. It's fucked. It's fucked. Similarly, our food system. If you go to a lot of the big corp, you'll notice that your fruits and your veg are being imported from Chile or Spain or South Africa, and who knows the amount of pesticides, um, who knows how long these foods have traveled, and and then that's when we're eating all this low vibrational kind of fake food, right? Mm-mm. People choosing people makes a difference. We prefer buying used clothes. I haven't bought a new item. Me, and that's part of the system of love as a company, and bring like our zero waste course. Katie, that's full section fashion, alternative fashion in the zero waste movement goes along with the vegan stuff as well. I haven't bought new uh, since 2012. Once I got into eBay buying and selling, I just don't buy new stuff. There's no point, and I'm happier now. Like my fashion sense is for me now, and I'm happier in my skin, and obviously because it aligns with my heart as well. So I'm like, you don't need the new stuff. Um, because we don't need to contribute to that. Um, and then that's where the food stuff comes in, and just being more consumers in general. Not any one of us is to blame, and I think this is often part of this evolutionary stuff. Is I think people's egos get triggered, i.e., veganism or zero waste, and they're like, "Well, I can't, I can't make this, or I need my meat, or I'm blah blah blah." All that is them going, "What? I have to change because the fucking system makes people so frightened of being different." What I'm realizing now after all these years is that it wasn't even judgment necessarily I was receiving from people. It was fear and confusion, i.e., me, my 12-year-old self, becoming a vegetarian in an industrial town, where that wasn't done. Um, yeah, I totally agree. No one's fault. Everyone's responsibility. Hence, again, our discernment piece of blaming and attacking, whether it's self or other, versus holding space to heal pain, right? I.e., our responsibility is to feel it and heal it, and feel it and heal it, not deny it, and feel it and heal it, and not point fingers around at each other. So yeah, when we're in a really state of joy and gratitude and love, it's kind of easy to be open about this stuff. When you've kind of broken down enough, it's like, okay, what can we do now? How can we move forward now? Where are we now? And this is where I like to have real what I see in the world conversations versus like multidimensionality, or I don't know, what was some of the stuff that people say that kind of gives me, oh yeah, the ultimate all healers is like our savior, or like savior consciousness. I'm not really into anymore either. And yet a lot of us, I think, on the spiritual path maybe thought that we were meant to be that, through conditioning, whatever. But everyone's fault, no response. Yeah, I don't want that. Although, I don't know, it's kinda like the same thing in a way, isn't it? I know, I would say we're all, like, here now. We can be responsible here now. But fault finding to me is blaming. Worlds. I do get that. Sometimes I think, though, the world splitting idea is also, though, part of our fear consciousness, part of our separation consciousness, is that we don't know we're so attached that we think it all has to happen in some way, but actually there's just infinite ways. And um the world, the splitting off is still a construct of a limited world. Does that makes right? Um uh have a wonderful day, Andrea. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad we caught you this morning. Have a great work today. Um Life's too short to be wrapped up in so totally, dude. Totally. I thought. And then but what I can say now though is that I'm aware of that in another way, where it's like it's too wrapped up in someone else's karma, and yet we can't not until we're aware of it. So we can't we're going to play out the karmic patterns until we do, until we see what we're doing and we're going, ah, now I see that. Um so once we can see it more clearly, then we can step back from it and not get swept into people's pain body. Then that's our release, right? Then we that's our next level liberation from karmic binds, karmic ties that keep trying these same pain in us, right? Until we can fucking see what it's doing. For me personally, a lot of the stuff that gets triggered out is my people pleasing, my wanting to fix everything. Which at this point I can honestly say, as much as it's like, oh, cute, naive, but it's fucking at this point. It's not serving me. It's not serving other. Trying to go around and fucking fix people, make sure, and you need to let go, and you need to shut up and leave people alone. My vibration isn't off. I don't need to go around fucking micromanaging people's moods for them. People are adults. People do what they want to do. All of us have the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. So we might as well just let each other be. At the same time, what that does is liberates me to continue to make necessarily understand. Not everybody necessarily understands it yet, and yet more of us and some of us can understand, to continue to encourage one another to keep rising to the love heart vibrashe, you guys. It's like the legit awesome truth. Until we don't, instead of denying. Yeah. Hmm. Well, you guys, I think I'm closing it. I think I'm closing. I'm closing. I don't even know what that accent is either. Oh, did I tell you guys that the France retreat got canceled? I gotta say, Intuition sort of knew that something was up there. And then the mayor was like, "Oh, if people they want to have yoga," so the yoga was like, right. Susanna, like straight up same. And this is part of like Just probably the resonance of, like, I was forced to fix my fractured failures alone. Same, same. Most of it for me has just been, like, alone in depth. I don't think that's necessarily how people judge my appearance or channel of artistic expression for me personally, and then also attached to my business and my company. It's like, I don't even like using it as possessive money. I don't even feel like that because it was like given to me in that regard. Um, me too, all alone. That's part of, I think, reaching out and sharing here and sending out a call. I think a lot of us are healing totally by ourselves. We may have worked with healers and on tours. I work with people, um, and yet it's it's all self ultimately, and that's part of the vulnerability. That's part of the humility. It's my own darkness that I penetrate and that I have to face within. It's here the classic, and I'm sure, and I use the analogy in right, but I talk about Gandalf like a prairie, right? It's like he plummets to the depths of his darkness to fight his scariest demon to then and like burning fiery depths of hell sort of thing. And then you see him there like, I fought the dragon, which is the aspect of his own darkness. And then what happens? Gandalf reappears in in the third movie as Gandalf the White. He's more powerful, he's more pure. Why? Because he had to plummet even darker and deeper than he ever went before. And then we rise, and that's how I see our karmic perpetual. For us powerful beings, we have to be able to have the courage to penetrate darker and darker veils. And this is what construct of spirituality deny. They want it to just be all love and light, but existence has to have the polarity. Otherwise, it will not shine. Otherwise, we stay in this mediocre, enslaved shit rather than becoming actual beings of light, which again isn't like some angelic wings. It's just that we look healthy, we feel lighter, we're more evolved, our language is less restrictive, we begin to open up to telepathy, we begin to blah, 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 blah. But as a mass whole, we're moving into that now. I'm hearing is shocking probably for a lot. This is where our ability to own and honor there as things continue to evolve on this planet. Hence now here as we feel the despair that we need to drop, find love, joy, and creation, gratitude, because there are certain agendas. There are certain agendas being propagated. This is part of like the deep state and continuing evolution of full disclosure. Um, there is this being propagated in our Hollywood movies as well, but there is an aspect of sort of mass genocide, and that freaks. It's so creepy and gross, right? And yet, in my awareness, I'm also growing into the space where I'm not so triggered by death in such a way, and I'm aware that there are no victims, and I'm aware that life is eternal in the essence of peace, and so on the 3D, whatever's being acted on the 3D level, and this can trigger us, right? But projected wise, external, so things coming through media or coming through internet, da da da. The reason you can let that go is that both sides are playing their part. That's an aspect of duality that one must understand in their own awakening. Like both part, and so we don't have to pick sides. Saying death was right, right. We don't have to pick sides. To each their own truth. The truth shall set you free. For some people, that's why I encourage to unplug so bad, like straight up. And this is like 11 steps in this book, but I have the foundational pillars. Unplugging is a foundation pillar of you claiming your fearlessness. of you claiming your, if you're choosing to put that TV on, if you're choosing to let those news stories repeat over and over and over, whether you're actively engaging with the story or just letting it wash over your consciousness and deadening your spirit, that's for sure. And I cannot tell enough people like how much more creative and alive and open and like aware you become when you're not invested in that story of fear. That's what splits people's consciousness over and over and over again. Choose sides, us against them. That's what that propaganda agenda about, and that's what keeps the controller system in place. Is us staying all for it rather than unifying our field and choosing to rise up way, way, way above that mainstream media controller agenda. Saruman. We love the mm, yeah, yeah. Like clear. I've had people say that as well, that people feel a clean kind of energy. It's just it's like, I guess you can say authenticity, transparency, open and an honesty. It's that there's no like weird agenda stuff running here. That's the difference. The clarity is just being all, and then we all have these because to me the most things we start to sort of compartmentalize and or um like as soon as we start to create dogma here now, and then I can even with stuff that's come up for me, as soon as I'm trying to fix the situation or fix somebody or make it better for them, i'm I'm getting swept into someone's story, right? Hey Falcon, hashtag Falcon, um Joe, Elliot. I'm like, I like knowing your guys' names as well. It makes it feel like proper, and it does. It feels like this more and more now. I still have to trust intuition and or listen. That's just good advice for all of us all the time. Like fucking listen to Ishio. The intuition speaks to us, powerful, and it's always leading us into this higher good aspect, freedom, and all of So yeah, ooh, Scott, I'm gonna read this for you. Easy to be grateful when in abundance, but remaining in gratitude with pain, appreciation. Anger is a emotion that's usually hiding something deeper, a pain, a hurt, a trauma wound. I tend to always think that it's for ourselves to feel, breathe through them. Then often it's like tracing. So you have the circle of your energy field, things hit it, trigger it, and then to me, most of those trigger points trace back to a core wound, i.e., a wound that right on the central pillar of your light being, and that core wound is connected to the wound of separation. So unworthiness, not enoughness, insecurity, unbelongingness, and just fear of death. So all of our trigger points are actually heat central so that we can powerful light, i.e., ascension, or us rising to become Gandalf the White. In voice and in every day. And every day we're likely to come up again that will remind us to invoke it, to claim it. Like devil get thee behind me, boo. Yeah. I'm good. I've got my being. I know my truth. I can shine that out. I can know the name. And it's nice for me. Thunder. And people call me that too. Yeah, for sure. I don't even know. I guess L. Like L. I'm taking a little break and now I want to go away for a little bit. And anywho, now I'm just like now it's coffee, so I tell you, right? I'm like, none of your guys is a business. um, but it is like I'm gonna go do stuff with mom this summer, so that's worked out well. And as intuition would say in grace, I'm actually kind of relieved. Weirdly, clearly something weren't meant to be in France this year round. Let's be honest, you guys. Who's up for a little paragliding experience? I am. And I think some of you guys would be too. We'll wait until like, although hi, Kauai, June 2020 is going to be off the chain, off the hook, off the chain. What is that expression? I don't know. Off the charts. Yeah, that's probably more accurate. Um, so Karen and I are just allowing that. We're really both in this, and is we want to keep the prices accessible for everybody. We don't care. Okay. Usually when I'm usually when I start dancing and singing, it's like time to the old Europe. Oh, it's so funny, you guys. You guys will understand more. British people don't consider themselves European. They're British. And because they're an island, although you who are from the Northern continent, you're like me probably, where in school we learned that the UK is part of the European continent. Now, I've actually tried to explain to British people, and they're like, we're not European. Okay. I mean, like, they're into geography, and they're like, no, the United Kingdom. And so I'm like, okay, sorry, I understood. Plus, like, the British and, like, so you have, like, the English, the Scottish, the Irish, and the Welsh, and they're all very separate. And they're like, no, we're Welsh. Like, it's just funny. So, and so there's a bunch of you that have expressed the love hot vibe. I'm hoping it will be like a nice, comfortable price range for all of us. Okay, you guys, that's me. As done talking. Basically, just go to basics when you're in the deep dark shits. I know, I appreciate a sense of the mediocrity piece of like, it's all just so fucking stressful and hard and miserable. I'm like, really? Why does it have to? It doesn't have to be. It's just a choice inside. So yeah, Kauai is going to be mega fun, and ready to go. Oh, nice one. Bye, Scott. All right, me. I'm done. Have a great day.